Hey and welcome back. My name is still Fabian. I'm a former automotive strategy consultant turned digital product manager. And in today's session, I'll be covering regulatory and policy implications in the automotive industry. Specifically, I'll be touching on vehicle safety regulations, emission standards and environmental regulations, fuel economy standards and efficiency regulations, autonomous vehicle regulations as far as we can talk about them currently, trade policies and tariffs, innovation and technology regulations, and finally compliance challenges and industry response. Regulation and policy is of major importance in automotive, impacting areas such as vehicle safety, emission standards, trades and innovation. And it is really challenging to navigate in a very complex regulatory landscape for automotive companies. And regulation has implications for all industry players across the value chain. So to talk about kind of vehicle safety regulations as one of our topics today, one of the researchers I studied a couple of years ago referred to automotive products as fast, heavy goods in public space, and there's something to it why it's so important. And there are various bodies, including, depending on kind of the country you sit in, that regulate automotive and mobility products. For example, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in the United States, or the European Commission's Directorate General for Mobility and Transportation in Europe, or the tongue twister. They all aim to address areas such as crashworthiness, occupant protection, and active safety systems. And it's especially interesting in the context of current developments in terms of new vehicle designs, etc., and new drivetrains and driver safety systems. Emission standards and environmental regulations aim at reducing air pollution, greenhouse gas emissions from vehicles, and there are various frameworks, including the Clean Air Act in the United States, Euro standards in Europe, and China's vehicle emissions regulation. They're also of varying importance depending on the country we look at. For example, in Europe, Central Europe, we have very strict standards in terms of Euro standards, whereas in other countries where we might have different types of socioeconomic challenges, they have different aims, and generally these objectives are linked to the status quo in the given system. There are various fuel economy standards and efficiency regulations, such as the very popular CAFE, the Corporate Average Fuel Economy Standard in the United States, and the European Union CO2 emission targets that are, in a lot of cases, coupled to financial incentives for companies and customers. And they play a crucial role in the advancement of other drivetrain technologies like hybridization, electrification, lightweight vehicles to improve vehicle efficiency, etc. In terms of autonomous vehicles, there are various frameworks. There is, of course, the widely accepted classification that some legislative bodies use by the Association of Automotive Engineers, where we've got the 5 different levels of autonomous driving, and there are still lots of debates around how safe autonomous vehicles should be. Should they be as safe as human drivers, twice as safe, zero failure, which is probably challenging given the complexity of our world, and also questions around safety standards, liability frameworks, testing requirements, etc., that are largely unanswered as we're learning more about the technology, the implementation in the real world, and implications for all stakeholders. Trade policies and tariffs are of major importance in the automotive context in terms of importing and exporting duties, trade agreements, trade disputes, especially as automotive production is global. We've talked about global production networks, and customers of automotive products are global, so there's lots of global import and export of vehicles, parts, etc. that have implications for countries, companies and customers. There are various trade agreements that are quite important, such as the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement. In concerned with Europe, we've got the European Union, Japanese economic partnership agreement for automotive manufacturers, and many more that aim to address some of the, and generally create a level playing field while benefiting the parties involved and customers at the end of the day. In terms of innovation and technology regulations in the automotive context, that includes various areas like intellectual property, cybersecurity standards, data privacy, which is of major importance, topics like the General Data Protection Regulation, all of which, in terms of standardization and alignment, aim to ensure safety, security, and interoperability of automotive technologies and beyond. There is a need for regulatory frameworks that balance innovation and safety while fostering industry competitiveness and generally a level playing field, where there have been voices, especially from Central Europe, that there isn't a level playing field that exists today, so there are certainly some challenges that are yet to be addressed. Finally, compliance challenges and industry response. There are various challenges that automotive companies are facing in terms of compliance with complex regulatory requirements, including cost implications, administrative burdens, legal risks, etc. And they follow different strategies for addressing those, including investing in regulatory compliance programs, which are massive across automotive companies, engaging with policymakers or lobbying and advocating for industry-friendly regulation. There's of course always this debate between how much can companies engage with and in some cases feed into regulation. In Germany, in a country where lots of the economic progress and wealth over the recent years stems from the automotive industry, there is quite a strong influence, similar in other countries. And yeah, there is always a lot of debate, and there needs to be this balance between maximizing overall wealth and disclosing any conflicts of interest with the key decision makers. Today we've emphasized the importance of understanding and adapting to regulatory challenges and policy developments to navigate the complex regulatory landscape in automotive. I hope this was somewhat useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye bye.